Welcome to another Boomer Bust Editorial. I'm your host Terry, and today talking about the NBA and its player empowerment, bad for the league. So a bunch of people were talking about this right after the Kawhi Leonard thing. Of course, LeBron has always been a conversation, and it's something that I've talked about many times, and then all of a sudden it's a cool topic this year. And so people are like, well, is it bad for the league? My opinion, yes, absolutely yes. I've always been saying this. Now, is it that I'm against player power? No, I'm not. But it just really waters things down. So when people talk about player empowerment, we're talking about players saying, hey, I got 1 year left on this deal. I don't want to be here. Trade me now so you don't lose me for nothing. And strong arming a trade to get out of where they are. Signing the short-term deals so then they could keep pressure on the management to do what they have to do and all these good things. Now, do I think the players are at fault exclusively? Of course not. The league is at fault for the way they let the players act. And then the owners and the management is at fault for the way they burnt players in the past. And the unfortunate reality is that while they're all under one league, each of the 30 teams operates in a different way. And so you always hear about certain organizations in every sport that just operate better. They're more player friendly or coach friendly or family oriented or whatever. And then there's teams that are more cutthroat. And so that's the unfortunate part. But right now, everybody's kind of getting the raw deal of it. It would be nice if each team would have some integrity as well. And the thing that kind of makes me go the way of this is bad for the league is the fact that contracts are guaranteed in the NBA. It would be very different if this was the NFL. But these contracts are guaranteed. So some people are like, a player doesn't have a say in being traded or being cut or whatever if they're no longer useful. But I don't feel bad because they still getting paid what they're owed. Like, it's different in the NFL. Yeah, there's no love lost. It's like, hey, we love you. Oh, you're injured? All right, cut. We don't have to pay you. That's very different than the NBA where contracts are guaranteed. So I don't feel that there's the same level of disloyalty there because owners are on the hook for those contracts that you sign. And so would I say it's bad for the league? I think so because you water down the product. And the case in point, like Toronto's pretty much in rebuild mode, or not exactly right now, but they will be. You got Siakam going for it, but they're probably going to end up getting rid of Lowry. And then you got a bunch of guys on 1 year deals that are vets, and they're going to go somewhere else. They might even get traded. So I was talking about this. I talked about this in the last editorial. You have a team that I never remember happening, win a championship and weeks later go into rebuild mode almost. Or even next season. That's just crazy to me. And then there's the conversation about the Clippers because Kawhi Leonard signed a 2 year plus one player option, him and Paul George. And so everybody's like, well, in those 2 years, if you're the Clippers, you get a championship, and then they both leave, they won't care because they got a championship. And it's like, is that the mentality we're going with now, where players going to bounce around? And it's fine. Like, if players want to bounce around, fine. But the mentality of, oh, we got a ring, we don't care. Like, that's so watered down to me. So we get to say, oh, Toronto has a ring, Clippers got a ring, Cleveland has a ring. I mean, but there's no dynasty to it. There's no legacy to it. It's just this one and done kind of one night stand. And that's kind of how it's starting to feel. It's just like you didn't build towards anything. And we know with the super team and the teaming up and all that stuff, there isn't a whole lot of building a team, which is why Golden State was so exciting. Like, say what you want, that Golden State without KD, if they weren't drafted all together and came up together, it wouldn't felt as big as it did. I mean, it was still fun to watch and all that, but it felt so big because this was a team that was homegrown. And you saw these guys grow up and become stars together. And so outside of them, you don't really feel that anymore. It's just like a lottery. It's like everybody's just sitting there hoping to. It's like not well, kind of like a lottery, but almost like a day nap. It's like they're just waiting for a superstar to swipe right on them. Like, hey, you get a championship. Okay, yes, finally. And I don't like that. Now, there's more parity this year because as many people didn't decide to team up and imbalance the power. But still, overall, it's just like, okay, we're just going to go here, hopefully try to get a ring. Okay, then we're going to dip somewhere else. Now, is it going to stay that way? I don't know. But right now, that's currently what we have. And some people say that contract is a leverage thing to, continue to keep the teams on their toes, which I understand that is the leverage that you have. But with no long-term guarantee, it's just going to be hard to ever really build a team truly, rather than just getting superstars and a bunch of minimum contract players for a year and then redoing it the next year. That's just, to me, it just waters it down. And then the second part is that what's going to happen is eventually you're going to have players only going to certain teams. Because right now the thing is, what city? It's like people don't even care about the team. I mean, of course they do, but for the most part, it's just like, what city do I want to go to? Oh, I want to go play for this city. I want to go play for this city. And you got a few guys like a Lillard who's a little loyal and say, or not even, I wouldn't even say loyal. It's probably loyal because Portland's a good org, but it's more so competitive. It's like, this is where they got me. I want to win it here. Let's do it here. You have a few guys like that, but for the most part, these younger stars, as we've seen, it's just like, ooh, what big city do I want to go to? I want to go to a nice warm city. And eventually, when you get more stars, because I'm telling you, when Kawhi did that, I said that's what people are going to do. AD did it right away the next season. It's going to keep happening. People are going to keep trying to strong arm trades and get out. And then they're going to be going to the same teams. And so eventually you're going to have the large market imbalance just increase even more than it is right now. And so that becomes tough because the players don't sign the long-term contracts. And so I do think it hurts the league, and I think it eventually will hurt the league, especially if you keep demanding trades. Now, the thing is, especially with Paul George, the thing is, though, it works when you have 1 year left. When you got a lot of years, it's not the same. You don't have the leverage. You've seen that a lot in sports, and most times it's just like, okay, be quiet. We ain't trading you. Just play. Either play or you ain't getting paid. And so Paul George had 3 years. That was the thing with him. He demanded trade with 3 years. So it's not like players are going to strategically wait. They're just going to do it whenever they feel like they want to leave. And so Paul George gets the call from Kawhi Leonard, talks to Kawhi. Oh, I want to go. Get me out of here. Force a trade. And while you do have leverage if a player has years, how many people want to keep a star that's not happy or a star that isn't committed to playing fully for your team? And so now you have to think about that. Now, me personally, yeah, if I got years, I'm like, okay, keep playing. You'll be all right. But some teams will feel like, okay, we just got to blow it up and move this player. And especially in the league right now where, players have all the control. So that, to me, will become a problem. And so as far as solutions, because I think people just talk about it without solutions, of course, number one, you can do the unmaxed contracts. Now, players have walked away from big money. They've done the little salary cap kicker for the team that you've been on. And we've seen players walk away. Many of players walk away recently from 40, 50 million. That's a lot of money. But I still wonder if you did the unmaxed cap contracts and you could do whatever you wanted. would they be able to walk away from all that money? Maybe they would, but I think that would be the ultimate test and what they really want to do as far as teaming up versus getting paid. And then, of course, like I said, even if it's not a uncapped contract, at least extend the years that you're able to offer, and so that you can have players locked up for a longer amount of time. And then that way the team doesn't have zero leverage. So I don't know, man. That's for me personally. I think it doesn't help. It doesn't help to just, be playing musical chairs every 2 years. And so, yeah, you might win a ring, but then what does it really mean? Well, I mean, it's kind of a very empty ring. It's kind of like an asterisk. Just like when the Heat won with the big three. Okay. You had 3 of the biggest superstars decide to show up and you got some rings. Okay, cool. Yeah, of course, you should have some rings. And the same thing with anybody else. So, I mean, Toronto's a little different. Kawhi did just show up, but you put a nice team around him. But still, to me, it waters it down. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think about player empowerment in the NBA. Is it helping? Is it hurting? Is it more of a long-term thing, or can you already see the effects? Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.